Today we're going to be checking the motor brushes on a Lincoln sporting machine. To do so, first we want to remove these vinyl caps. Sometimes they can be a little bit stuck, but if you rotate them, they will usually break free and you can slip them off. Sometimes these O-rings will come off with the cap and other times they'll be stuck in there. We just want to remove those. And then we can loosen the brush caps and thread them out. Now, before removing the brush, we want to take note of how the brush feels as it's removed. We want to make sure that the brush is not sticking or having any friction. We want to kind of test that as we're pulling out the brush, it is moving freely in the brush holder of the motor. And these feel good. So we're going to remove both. And what we find is that there can be some carbon buildup on these brushes. So we just want to wipe off any of that carbon. And then you want to inspect your brushes. The spring should be pretty uniform in its coils, and the strand of wire should also be a shiny copper color. An example of a bad brush that would need to be replaced is this one, where the spring coils are bunched up and deformed due to heat cycling, and also the color of the wire has changed due to some condition of high heat. In this case, this is something that should be replaced. But now, since the brushes from this motor are good and these channels are free, we can reinsert these. If there would be any sticking of the brush in this channel, we can take a small file or something hard and try to remove any burrs that may be inside this. But since we don't have that problem, we can put these back in. These line up with this channel in this, so we just insert this into the slot and then take our cap and roll it back into place. And hand thread it in. The brushes can be interchanged on either side of the motor. They do not need to stay in a certain orientation or on a certain side of the motor. Now that we've hand tightened the brush caps onto the motor, we're going to reinstall our O-rings. So when we're reinstalling the O-rings, we want to make sure that the O-rings are tightly secured onto the brush cap. Now, the ones that were on here are not very tight anymore. They've stretched out a bit over time, so we're going to replace them. So we're going to take a new O-ring and snap it into this groove, and this one fits much better. And then we can put our vinyl caps back on. To do so, we want to apply some plastic safe lubricant inside the brush cap and spread it around. And then we're also going to spread some of the lubricant on this surface as well. And then push the vinyl cap back on to the brush holder. If these feel very loose or deformed, we'd recommend replacing them to ensure a seal here and make sure we're keeping water out of the motor. That's how we check the brushes on a Lincoln sporting machine motor. If you have a wobble or an AT trap with additional motors, checking the brushes on the oscillating and elevation motor will be the same procedure.